All right. We are on. Where did I put this? I can't really hang it on my.
We're on the seat.
Yeah. That means I can't sit down though. Okay. So we're on page 68. It's been a week since we've been together. A little bit longer than that actually. So this may be hard to get back into our groove. Yes, Brady.
I even forgot what story we were on.
Okay. So yeah, you can take your mask off if you're going to talk. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so we're on page 68. Our story is The Race. Let's just do a quick review. We have our two main characters are whom? Johnny, give me one.
Debbie.
Debbie, and who's?
Mark.
Mark. Who is Mark?
Well, some background information is.
No, who's Mark?
Well, he's Debbie's brother?
Yes, Debbie's brother. Okay, so they are, what kind of race is this, Talon?
Dog sled race.
A dog sled race. And why is this race important?
Because they have to pay their bills.
They have to pay their bills. Remember to raise your hand because we're going to try and get everybody to talk. And that includes my ladies on the back row. I want y'all to participate in the class discussion. Okay, so we're at the race. We're getting ready to start. Where we left off was Debbie drew a number. What number did she draw for starting, Johnny?
3.
3. And why was she happy about having number 3? Why was she happy about that?
I know why.
I know you know why, but I gotta have other people participate in the conversation, my friend. So you can put your hand down. Grace.
She won't have to stand alone. She won't have to stand around long.
She wouldn't have to stand around and wait as long. Yeah, because we talked about this, how, when you're waiting for something, sometimes you just get more and more nervous as the time goes on. The anxiety kind of ratchets up, and you'd rather just do it and get it over with. But going third is great because you're not first either, right? Because there's a pressure with being first too, right? So kind of being in the middle of the pack is a good thing for that. Now, so we're on page 68. I know it's been a while since you've even looked at this because I'm guessing that nobody took this home to reread it over the break. Yeah, I didn't tell you to, and so you wouldn't have done that. So you may need a little bit of a refresher about what's going on. Okay, so we're on page 68, and we're about to start. What is the time interval between when one team starts and then the next team is allowed to go? How do they space the teams out? What time passes? How much time? Tell him.
10 seconds?
No, it's longer than that, actually. Brady?
30 seconds?
No. Take your masks off when you're going to talk. You can put them back on, but take them off when you're going to talk. Brady?
A minute?
Well, it actually says. So instead of guessing, why don't we go to the text? Why don't we go to the text? Okay.
5-minute intervals.
5-minute intervals. Okay. So they do that, and then they time when you start and they time when you finish, and they figure out who won by who does it in the fastest time. So it's not like a horse race where everybody starts at once and the first person across the line finishes. It's everybody does their whole race, and then whoever has the shortest time is the one that wins. Okay? What's the name of the dog that they put in the lead? Johnny?
Chemo.
Chemo. Why do you think they put Chemo in the lead? How is Chemo described in the story? How is Chemo described in the story? Johnny?
The alpha, she's strong and fast.
She's strong. He is described as strong and intelligent, right? So he's a smart dog. Okay. If you look at the way these questions are done, we have the different kinds of questions is the way they put them in order, but then we kind of go back and forward on the page. So I'm going to skip this question and I'm going to go to the second question. And this is a thinking question, okay? This is what we call an analytical question.
So you have
Mark,
to analyze.
yes. Yeah. Mark harshly told Debbie how to run the race in front of other drivers and spectators. Okay? If you look at the bottom of if you look at the bottom of the first column on page 68, it says, Mark, holding chemo, led the team to the line. Remember to start fast, keep a steady pace, and don't fool around, he yelled over the din of howling dogs and the noise of the crowd. So Mark basically told her how to do something she already knew how to do. And he did it in kind of a rude way in front of everybody. How does it feel when somebody speaks to you in that way? How do you feel when somebody speaks to you like that? Johnny?
I better do this or else someone's gonna get beaten.
Yeah, you feel like you're going to get in trouble?
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed?
Sad.
Is it sad? Is it worse if they talk to you like that in front of other people?
Probably.
Yeah, everybody's nodding. It is, right? Why is it worse? Like, is it worse to get, where like you're acting the fool in public and your mom is like, and you're like, okay, all right. And then when you get home, she's like, okay, you really embarrassed me and you were in big trouble, But is it worse for her to do that like out in public? Would you rather her wait till you get home, you get the talking to? Or would you rather, your mom get onto you in front of all your friends?
Wait, huh?
Yeah, you would rather when you go home. Why, Talon? Why would you rather have it at home instead of in front of everybody you know? You don't know? Okay, Johnny?
Because then your friends know you got in trouble. You want to look good in front of your friends.
Yeah, you want to look good in front of your friends, and, it's harder when you get reprimanded in front of other people. It's hurtful when somebody speaks to you like that, but when they do it in front of other people, basically, Mark was telling all those people there that Debbie didn't know how to do what she was doing. That's what he made them all think. Right? So that's really... What do you think Mark should have said to Debbie instead? This is a 100% opinion question. What do you think he should have said to her instead? Brady?
Encourage her.
Take your mask off so that we can hear you on the video.
Encourage her and maybe not yell at her.
Well, yeah, definitely not yell at her.
But at least say some encouraging words.
Yeah, be encouraging. Okay, Johnny?
Same thing, but quiet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could go, okay, let's go over this checklist now. Remember, you know what you got to do. Can we go over it together? Or I have confidence in you, but will you help me by going over what you're going to do? What's the plan? There's always ways to do things and to say things in ways that aren't as hurtful or rude. How do you think positive comments would have affected Debbie instead of negative ones? How do you think if he had been positive that would have affected her? Johnny?
He probably would have helped Deborah out, and she probably would have got a lower place. Because if he didn't say stuff like that, then she probably would think it's alright.
Well, maybe not. Right? I think it depends on the person. Because encouragement, the right kind of encouragement, can give you confidence. Right? It can help you with self-confidence. If he had said, Debbie, I know you know what you're doing. You know what you need to do. Or if he had said, the things he said, remember, start fast, keep a steady pace, don't fool around, you've got this, I know you can do it, right? If he had said those things and then added encouragement to them, that would have been different and it would have given her a lot more self-confidence. If you have somebody that all they ever do is tell you what you're doing wrong, does that tend to make you better? No. Now, do you need to be told when you're doing something wrong?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But if all you ever hear is negative, what does that do to your self-confidence?
It breaks it.
It kind of breaks it down, doesn't it? Yeah. And so, it's like when Bethy was practicing her flute last night. And she was like, oh, I messed up. And I was like, yeah, she's like, that sounded terrible. And I was like, it really kind of did. And she's like, oh, I know. Right? I wasn't going to lie to her and say, no, you sounded great. But I was like, but you'll get it with more practice. You just got to practice more. Right? I wasn't going to lie to her. So we need to be told when we're doing wrong so that we can get better. But Debbie already knew the things that she needed to do, and she knew how important this race was. So Mark's comments just kind of made her kind of deflate. Okay. At the very end of this page, Debbie forgot her nervousness for just a moment. She forgot how nervous she was, and she just began to enjoy the race for a little bit. Why do you think that was?
Because she thought she was doing good.
Well, maybe. Let's look down here at page 68. It says, the exhilaration of the race. What does exhilaration mean? If something's exhilarating, do you know what that means?
Fast.
Happening fast, but also like kind of filling you with excitement. Exhilaration is another word for excitement. Okay? The exhilaration of the race gripped her, and for a moment she forgot she must win. Racing was the greatest thrill ever. Have you ever been in the middle of something and you were just having so much fun that you forgot that there was something important going on? You were just enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been like in a game or in a play or in a concert, and you were like, you just forgot to be nervous because you really just started having fun. That's kind of what happened to Debbie. And and then she realized, wait, the dogs are slowing down. I got to focus back on the race. So now we're on 69. And she's focusing back on the race. I love here how the author talks about it. So the bottom of 68, top of 69, the exhilaration of the race gripped her, and for a moment she forgot she must win. Racing was the greatest thrill ever. Her attention wandered to the mountain in the distance that she and Mark often climbed. How magnificent its craggy top was against the winter sky. She gulped the cold air, fragrant with pine and fir. But the dogs were slowing down. So the air fragrant with pine and fir, that's imagery there, right? Have you ever been outside in the winter in the forest and you can smell that? Johnny said this morning he wanted me to get an evergreen smell, a pine smell for the diffuser, and we just have that for the whole rest of the time, right? I was like, I don't have that. I could put a little rosemary in there tomorrow for an evergreen smell, right? But we all know we're Oregonians. We know what pine smells like, don't we? We know what Douglas fir smells like. We know that smell, and so thinking about that smell in the cold winter, we know what rain feels like. We know what rain smells like. We know what rain feels like. But the pine and the fir, right? And sometimes even we get snow, and you know that kind of feeling of being out in the cold and that scent of snow and of the evergreen trees, right? And so that imagery, remember, imagery is something that appeals to the five senses. So right there, that little spot that I just read, two senses that it's appealing to. What are they? Which two senses? Give me one, Johnny.
Like vision.
Vision, yeah, sight, because it's talking about the beautiful mountain against the sky. Talon?
Smell.
Smell, that's the other one. Fragrant with pine and fir. All right. Commands are usually given to a driver's team of dogs. Who was Debbie talking to when she said, trail, trail? And what did it mean? Who was she talking to and what did it mean? Johnny?
She was talking to another racer. Trail, when you yell trail in the dog sled race, that means that you're passing the other person. So to avoid injury, they go to the side so you can pass them.
Right. It means we're going faster than you and I'm going to pass you and you need to pull over to avoid an accident. So, yeah. So that's, yeah. What?
Huh?
What'd you say?
Huh?
You said something.
I did?
You did. And we're on video and it's going to be there. So if you don't want the whole class to hear it, you need to keep your comments to yourself and not be snarky. Okay?
Just think your comments in your mind.
Okay. Now, Debbie was signaling the driver of team number 2 to move over. She noticed that his dogs were tangled in their harness. Why didn't she stop to help? Why didn't she stop to help? Grace?
Because Mark told her to try to stay on the trail so she could win.
Yeah, she had promised Mark, She had promised Mark that she would not stop and help anybody, that she would do her best to go fastest and to win. What was the name of Debbie's school paper? What was the name of the school paper? Brady?
The headliner?
I'm sorry.
The headliner?
The headliner, okay? The headliner. And there was, if you see down here on 69, a girl about Debbie's age broke away from the fans and called, "Hey, Debbie, wait a minute. I got to get a picture for the headliner." And Debbie doesn't stop. "I'm sorry, I can't." And of course, Debbie felt pretty bad about it, actually. But do you think she would have stopped and helped if there hadn't been so much pressure on her to win the race? Do you think she would have helped the first guy untangle his dogs? Yeah. Do you think she would have stopped and at least slowed down a little bit and let the girl get a picture of her? Probably, right? Now, remember that this was longer ago. Like nowadays, the girl would have just been standing there with her camera and just put it on auto click and held the button down and it would have gone click, 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 click. And she would have gotten a bunch of pictures and probably one of them would have been good. But back then, cameras were a little bit slower and they didn't have that feature where you could take a gazillion pictures in 2 seconds. And so she really would have had to slow down for the picture. Do you think you would have stopped or at least slowed down to let the girl take your picture? Probably not. Not if you had been in Debbie's situation. Yeah, and everybody's going, no. Because you had...
This is more important.
Well, especially in this case, right? Because if they don't win, they're counting on that money to pay the vet bill and the feed bills and stuff. Yeah. Okay. We got a few more minutes. All right. What do you think Debbie meant at the top of page 70 when it says that she felt like a snake for refusing the girl? What does she mean, Johnny?
She felt really bad. She felt kind of rude.
She felt bad. She did. In literature, there are often things that have been used over the years as symbols, okay? And the snake has always been a symbol of evil. You guys think you know why?
Okay, because Satan?
Yeah, because of the Bible, right? Now, are snakes evil?
No.
Like just a snake in general? No. Not even a poisonous snake is evil. It's just a snake. But it's a symbol of that. And so when you say somebody is a snake, when you call someone a snake, you're such a snake. Right?
Snake.
We mean they're sneaky or they're mean or they're bad. And she felt really bad about it. This is a really important line. She said, well, she hoped Mark would be proud of her because she wasn't proud of herself. Sometimes it's really hard. I have a daughter who doesn't have a competitive bone in her body. You guys have been in PE with her.
Mm-hmm.
She's far better cheering on everybody else than she is actually competing. Right? She just it doesn't matter to her who wins, as long as everybody has fun. It just doesn't matter to her. Now, she's happy when her team wins, yay us, but she just doesn't care. It doesn't matter to her. Yes?
Whenever there's a ball involved in a game, she goes, mine!
She does.
And she
Right.
screams.
It's funny because She is, like, when she's playing, she wants to win, but in the end, it doesn't matter to her that much, right? And some people just enjoy playing. And this was the case with Debbie, and she was just such a nice person. And that was, I mean, Bethy played soccer in the first grade, and it was hilarious because she would stop and, like, help other children up when they fell. And if the ball came to her, she'd just kind of look at it. And if somebody else scored a goal, she'd be like, yay! And she'd be, like, doing a cheer in the middle of the field for them. And we were like, yeah, soccer's not your game. But it, you know, I feel like there's a little bit of that in Debbie, where yes, she wants to win and she understands why it's important, but if it hadn't been that important, like if they hadn't needed that money, would she have stopped and helped?
Yeah.
Yeah, she would have, because to her, helping other people was more important than winning. And it just went against her personality to not stop and help. Okay. At the halfway point of the race, Debbie stopped the team for a brief rest, and suddenly there was a team coming without a driver, a runaway dog team without the driver. This was the most dangerous thing that could happen in a race. Why? Why is this a dangerous thing? Hope?
There could be dog fights.
Could be dog fights, okay.
Because the dogs could attack you.
The dogs could attack you. There are some other reasons. If the dog team doesn't have a driver to give them commands, the harnesses are all connected to each other.
So
what happens if one
they
dog...
could each go each way, and it'd be tangled up, and they'd try to get out.
They could hurt themselves, right? If they get a harness tangled around one foot or around their neck in a weird way or whatever, right? So they're a danger to themselves, but then they're also a danger to other teams. So how does Debbie get the runaway team to stop? What does she do to get the runaway team to stop? We're on page 70. With the cute little picture of the doggo.
She reached for the handlebar and stopped it.
Yeah, she was able to grab the handlebar and reach the brake and command the dogs to stop, right? And she was able to stop. Her dogs were coming toward her. There was going to be a dog fight. She was like, everything was going so well, and now everything's messed up. Chemo obeyed her. Her own dogs were safe, and then around comes a man running around the side of the trail. What does Debbie do?
She waits for him.
She waits for him. She waits for him until he says, and who is he?
He's another racer.
He is another racer, but that's his team, right?
Yeah.
So it's the guy. So she doesn't have to wait very long, but in a race like this, even a few minutes is a big deal. Even a few minutes is a big deal.
And then for dicot, they're going to have multiples of 4 or 5.
Debbie's dealing with an internal conflict here. Remember, we have the two main kinds of conflict, internal and external. What's the only kind of internal conflict?
Man versus self.
Man versus self. Debbie's having an internal conflict here. This is where we're going to stop for today, but I want you to think about and be ready to answer this tomorrow. What is Debbie's internal conflict that she's having right now at this point in the race? We will stop there and we will start with that question tomorrow.